Managers of Reddit, what is the most unprofessional thing an employee has done that resulted in immediate termination? Story 1. I had an employee who got drunk on her lunch break, flipped her car, went to jail, mugshot with her company logo on her shirt. Perfect. Story 2. I was a partner. Business wasn't involved in the day-to-day management or anything much anymore. Started another venue. I'm a big, rough-looking black guy, which is important for the story. I can't remember the reason, but I needed to sign some paperwork and it had to happen within the hour. I think it had to do with a big client or some type of equity in their business in exchange for service. So I left the gym and drove straight to the office. I was showered and clean, but in casual clothing, jeans and a t-shirt. When I arrived, the receptionist said very loudly, "Can I help you?" There was already something off with her tone, but I didn't really care. I simply said, "Yes, I'd like to see Mr. Hampton. He's expecting me." I should have said my name, which she maybe had recognized, but I don't know why I didn't or she didn't ask. She didn't pull up his schedule, ask on the intercom, call his line or anything. She laughed and said, "Mr. Hampton doesn't take walk-ins, sir." This alone wouldn't be a big deal, even though I think the laugh is rude. She then turned her chair away from me with her back facing me. I said, "Excuse me." She put headphones in. There was another guy waiting to see our office manager for a job as a courier, and he was kind of snickering and amused. It was embarrassing and unacceptable. I then raised my voice and said, "I need to see Mr. Hampton, and I'm going ahead." As I said, "He's expecting me." She just laughed, but wouldn't buzz me in. It's a set of office suites, and to get to what we call the bullpen, you have to be buzzed in. I don't know if she saw through the glass, but the office manager ran up and buzzed me in and greeted me by name. The receptionist went white as sheet. I could tell she was shitting bricks. I signed the papers and let my partner know what happened. He walked out with me and told her to pack her bags, legitimately fired on the spot. When I look back, I feel kind of bad for her, but it was so ridiculous. There is no reason to treat anyone that way. A client could have turned up underdressed as well. Absolute madness. Story 3. Guy had a crush on a female coworker. He passed her a note at work one day with a gob of hand lotion inside it and the words, "I got really excited thinking about you earlier." Girl freaked out, went to management. Guy got escorted out. Story 4. I had an officer under me. He was reported in a tree. I went to investigate the last place he was seen. He was still there, attempting to pepper spray birds. I wish I could have made that up. Story 5. One of our delivery drivers was supposed to be training a new employee, basically driving around and introducing them to routes and customers and that type of thing. Well, he told the new driver just to drop him off at the park down the street, and when my boss drives the 15 seconds to the park, he was smoking crack with bums, literally smoking crack cocaine with the bums in the park. So of course the dude got fired. Maybe a month later we get a call from a customer saying he was walking in the middle of a busy intersection with our company shirt on. Story 6. He slashed my tire after I told him to go to work instead of sitting in the break room. Story 7. My husband is a manager and his employees somehow had another employee's ID and they stole the person's check and cashed it. Caught it all on camera. She still denied it. Story 8. I work in pizza delivery and we had a guy back in the day, fellow manager, who tried to shut down the store 5 hours before the time that corporate set for us to close. He clocked every person out and sent them home and just refused to take the phone calls or anything like that. He was fired immediately after our boss found out, and he even tried to come into work the next day like everything was fine. Story 9. Was going over security footage. Saw an employee that didn't want to sign their contract take it, sign it, stick it down in the front of his pants and wipe it around on his junk, then stick it in the secretary's inbox. Contract was burned. Inbox was disinfected. Employee was fired. Story 10. I had an employee pass out in his truck in a customer's driveway. Customer called me to report and said employee had a glass pipe on his chest. Luckily, guy decides to call me instead of the sheriff. Employee was picked up and brought back to the shop. When asked what was going on, he stated, "I was on break. It wasn't weed, just spice." Sorry, bud. I don't think this is going to work out. Story 11. Rubbing a pregnant coworker's belly 3 times after being asked to stop and then asking her if her husband was good at the sex. I fired him and he asked if we could still be friends. No. He then tried to file for unemployment after only working there for 3 weeks part-time. Story 12. I'm not the manager involved, but I think this fits the bill. A coworker of mine who was a little bit too into his car got snapped doing twice the speed limit. Instead of pulling over for the patrol car behind him, he decided to run for it. He led a police chase to the office and shook them off by hiding in the underground parking. The GM watched it happen from his office. He took the lift down, found the coworker's car, and told him not to bother getting out. Story 13. Oh man. My high school buddy ended up being pretty successful and starting his own business. A girl who bullied him in middle school applied for the job at the 20-ish person business. I knew them both in high school. Their circles never overlapped, but she remained in her awful, judgmental ways. So she applied to this job and was meeting with the owner. My friend ended up getting to the front of the building the same time she did. He figured he'd give her a chance because people change, yada yada. He's more optimistic than me. Well, she assumed he was applying for the job too and made a comment about how he never really grew out of that middle school look. He didn't tell me more, but eventually his secretary filled me in. Apparently, he walked to his office and asked her to come in. She totally changed her tone and said, "Yes, I'm here for an interview." And he told her the interview ended a minute ago. Story 14. Now, the manager just witnessed the firing. The delivery boy answered his personal cell phone with, "Tony's abortion clinic. You make 'em, we scrape 'em," in front of customers and our very religious boss. It went over well, /S. Story 15. Supervisor in a call center. We worked with EBT cards. All calls are recorded. All agents know this because we have them listen to enough of them on one-on-ones. This girl got in an argument with a caller and told him, maybe you should get a job and get off food stamps. That wasn't even the worst part of the call. Just the part I can quote verbatim. There was also a rant accusing him of being personally responsible for the Atlantic slave trade. My manager was like, it really can't be that bad. No, dude, listen to the call. She was fired. Story 16. In auto sales, one of our salesmen always seems to be up to something. Between all lying to the customers, drug abuse, and constant fighting at home, he was impossible to manage. Unfortunately, he was the type that gave the rest of us a bad name. Eventually, he got into it with our GSM about several issues, and his go-to was to start making fun of our GSM's handicapped son. I had so much respect for our GSM. He took him in an office, told him he was terminated, and walked out even though I know inside he was boiling with rage. Glad he's gone. Story 17. I used to manage a restaurant. My hosts were in charge of taking to-go orders, but I couldn't have them away from the host stand to get them ready, so I had to grab a server that wasn't really busy and have them do it. On his second day, my host came to me and said, I asked the new guy to grab the to-go order for me, and he told me that it's not his fucking job. It was the end of the shift and everyone was putting chairs up, so instead of singling him out, I just pulled everyone together and said, hey, if they ask you to get a to-go order, fucking do it. They aren't asking you because they're lazy, they're asking you because I've told them to ask you. After my little speech, he turns around and starts slamming chairs around. Nope. Bye, bitch. You're gone. You don't get to cuss out my 17-year-old hostess, then slam shit around on your second day. We sincerely appreciate you taking the time to watch our YouTube video. If you find our content helpful and enjoyable, please click the subscribe button to stay updated on any new videos we share in the future. Thank you once again, and we hope to see you in our next upcoming videos.